It was a warm afternoon, and the school playground buzzed with laughter and chatter. Groups of students huddled together, some practicing for the upcoming sports competition, others gossiping about their favorite celebrities or scrolling through their phones. Among them was a girl named Amara, a quiet but striking young girl with deep brown skin, curly black hair, and a calm, composed presence that made her stand out without even trying. She wasn't one of the loud, popular kids, nor was she invisible. People noticed her, but she wasn't the kind of person to draw unnecessary attention to herself. Amara was the kind of girl who kept her head down, focused on her studies, and stayed out of drama. She had a gentle smile, a love for books, and a talent for drawing that impressed her teachers. She had only been at this school for a few months, having transferred from another city. What most of her classmates didn't know was that Amara had been adopted at a young age by a family that loved her deeply and supported her dreams unconditionally. What they didn't know, either, was that her father wasn't just any father. He was a world-famous actor and action star, someone whose name echoed across the globe. But Amara never talked about him. She wanted to be known for who she was, not for the fame of her family. On the surface, she was just another student, walking through the hallways with her sketchbook in hand. But that day, she found herself face to face with the school's most notorious bully, a boy named Derek. Derek was tall for his age, with a loud laugh, an arrogant smirk, and a group of friends who followed him like shadows. He was the kind of guy who thought he owned the school, always making jokes at other people's expense and picking fights just to show off. Teachers were tired of his antics, but he always managed to charm his way out of trouble, thanks to his parents' influence in the community. Derek spotted Amara sitting on a bench in the courtyard during lunch, sketching in her notebook. He swaggered over with his friends, smirking. Well, look who we have here," he sneered. The quiet little princess. Amara ignored him, focusing on her drawing, hoping he would get bored and leave. But Derek wasn't the kind to back down when someone didn't give him attention. "Hey, I'm talking to you," he said, grabbing her sketchbook out of her hands. "Give that back," Amara said calmly, reaching for her notebook. Derek flipped through the pages, laughing. "What's this? Little cartoons? What are you, 5? His friends laughed, egging him on. Derek tore out one of her drawings, crumpled it up, and threw it on the ground. Amara's stomach tightened, but she stayed composed. "Why don't you leave me alone?" she said softly. Her calmness only seemed to make Derek angrier. "What's your deal, huh? You think you're better than everyone else? You're just some nobody." Then, with a sneer, he muttered something cruel and racist, a comment about her skin that made a few students nearby gasp. Amara froze, hurt flashing in her eyes. She had dealt with ignorance before, but Derek's words cut deep. "Say something, huh?" Derek mocked, pushing her shoulder. Amara stood up, meeting his gaze, but she refused to cry or show fear. "You need to stop," she said firmly. Derek laughed. "Or what?" Before she could respond, he shoved her again, harder this time. She stumbled back, but her posture remained strong. By now, other students had gathered around, whispering, some recording with their phones. "Leave her alone, Derek," one girl shouted, but Derek ignored her. He raised his hand, about to shove Amara again, when a deep, commanding voice echoed across the courtyard. "What do you think you're doing?" The crowd turned, and their jaws dropped. Striding toward them with a furious expression was none other than Vin Diesel himself. Most of the kids had seen him in movies, the tough, fearless hero who took down villains and drove cars at impossible speeds. But now, here he was in real life, towering over Derek, his bald head gleaming under the sunlight, his muscular arms crossed. He was wearing a simple black t-shirt and jeans, but his presence was so powerful that even teachers stopped in their tracks. "Dad," Amara said, surprised but relieved. Derek's face turned pale. "Wait, what? That's your dad?" Vin Diesel's eyes locked on Derek, and the courtyard went completely silent. "You put your hands on my daughter." His voice was calm, but there was a dangerous edge to it. I didn't. I was just," Derek stammered, stepping back. Vin walked closer, towering over him. "You think it's funny to pick on someone smaller than you? To humiliate her, to hurt her, you think that makes you a man?" Derek shook his head, frozen in place. His friends backed away quickly, not wanting to be part of whatever was about to happen. "Listen to me," Vin said, his voice booming. "You're lucky I'm not the kind of man who solves problems with fists. Because if I was, you'd be on the ground right now." Instead, I'm going to teach you something. The crowd watched in stunned silence. Look at her, Vin said, pointing at Amara. She's stronger than you'll ever be. She's kind, talented, and brave. She doesn't need to yell or fight to prove herself. And you're a coward. A bully is always a coward. Derek's face burned red with shame. You're going to apologize, Vin said. I'm sorry, Derek muttered, barely audible. Louder, Vin demanded. I'm sorry, Derek said, his voice cracking. Vin turned to his daughter. Amara, do you accept his apology? Amara looked at Derek. She could see the fear in his eyes, but she also saw something else, embarrassment, maybe even regret. She nodded. I do. Vin placed a protective hand on her shoulder. Good. Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave her alone. And you're going to start treating people with respect. Because if I hear even one more story about you hurting someone, you're going to regret it. Derek nodded quickly, his eyes wide. Yes, sir. Now get out of here, Vin said, and Derek practically ran, his friends scattering behind him. The students who had been recording put their phones down, too shocked to say anything. Teachers finally stepped forward, but none of them dared to interrupt Vin Diesel. He turned to Amara, his face softening instantly. You okay, baby girl? He asked gently. Amara nodded, tears welling in her eyes. She hugged her father tightly. Thank you. You never have to thank me for protecting you, Vin whispered, holding her close. I'm proud of you for standing up to him. The story of that moment spread through the school like wildfire. By the end of the day, everyone knew that the quiet girl who always sat in the back of class was the daughter of one of the most famous actors in the world. But what impressed people even more was how calmly she had handled the situation and how her father had stepped in, not with violence, but with wisdom and strength. The next day, Derek didn't come to school. Word got around that he had been suspended, and his parents had been called in for a meeting with the principal. Some students even said they saw Derek crying in the hallway before he left. Amara, meanwhile, continued to carry herself with quiet dignity. People started approaching her, apologizing for not standing up for her sooner, or simply saying hi. Some even asked if she was really Vin Diesel's daughter. Yes, she said with a smile. But that doesn't make me any different from you. Still, that incident had left a mark on her. She had always wanted to be known for who she was, not for her father's fame. But now, her classmates saw her in a new light, not because she was a celebrity's daughter, but because she had faced bullying with courage. Vin picked her up from school that day, and as they drove home, he glanced at her with a proud smile. You know, he said, you handled that better than most adults would. Amara shrugged. I just didn't want him to see me scared. Vin chuckled softly. That's because you're strong. You've always been strong. But I need you to know something. You never have to deal with that alone. I'll always be here, no matter what. She smiled. I know, Dad. They stopped at her favorite ice cream shop on the way home, laughing and joking like nothing had happened. Vin even signed a few autographs for fans, but he made sure Amara felt special the entire time. Weeks passed, and Derek eventually returned to school. Something had changed in him. He wasn't as loud or aggressive as before. He kept to himself, and some even noticed he started helping other students instead of mocking them. Rumor had it that Vin Diesel had personally spoken to his parents, urging them to teach their son respect. Whatever happened during that conversation seemed to have worked. One afternoon, Derek approached Amara in the hallway. Hey, he said awkwardly. Amara turned, wary but calm. Hi, I just wanted to say I'm really sorry, Derek said. I was being a jerk. I don't know why I was like that. But I'm trying to change. Amara studied him for a moment. She saw sincerity in his eyes. I forgive you, she said softly. Derek nodded, relieved. Thanks. And, your dad's pretty scary. Amara chuckled. He's also the nicest guy in the world. As long as you're nice too. From that day on, Derek never bothered her again. In fact, he started standing up for other kids when he saw them getting picked on. The story of what happened between Derek and Amara became something of a legend in their school. It wasn't just about a celebrity stepping in to protect his daughter, it was about the message he gave everyone, that true strength isn't about intimidation or fame, but about respect and kindness. Amara learned that sometimes, life has a way of teaching lessons in unexpected ways. She hadn't wanted the attention, but her experience opened people's eyes to the damage bullying can do and how one moment of courage can change everything. Vin Diesel continued to support her dreams, attending her art exhibitions at school, encouraging her to pursue her passion. Amara kept drawing, her talent growing every day, and she started using her art to raise awareness about bullying and kindness. Years later, Amara would look back on that day not with fear, but with pride. Because she knew that standing up for herself had changed not only her life but also the lives of others. In Derek, he became one of her biggest supporters, often defending her when people tried to use her father's fame against her. He had learned his lesson the hard way, but it made him a better person. That's the power of standing up for what's right. That's the power of love, family, and courage. And sometimes, it just takes one person, one moment, to turn everything around. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this story with your friends. Bullying is never okay, and it's up to all of us to create a safer, kinder world.